Most beginner trading guides fail because they start with strategies, setups, or indicators. This video does the absolute opposite. In my opinion, before learning how to trade, you need to understand how the market actually works and why so many common beliefs lead beginners in the wrong direction. In this module, we're going to clear up the biggest misconceptions that cause confusion, overtrading, and inconsistency. We'll also answer a few key questions that most beginners have but rarely get clear answers to. As a small disclaimer, nothing in this video is about signals or shortcuts. So if you're in here for that, you can just leave the video. It's about building the right understanding so that everything you learn afterward actually makes sense. And if you're new to trading or if you've tried learning before and felt overwhelmed, this is the foundation you don't want to skip. So now, let's start with the misconceptions. Some common beginner misconceptions. For example, a common belief is that indicators explain what the market is doing. But in reality, indicators are just calculations based on past price data. They show what has already happened, but they don't show what buyers and sellers are doing right now. When traders rely on the indicators alone, they often end up reacting late. Another common belief is that more confirmation means less risk. In practice, adding more confirmation usually means entering later. Late entries increase risk because they leave less room for error. Markets tend to reward clarity at the right location, not excessive confirmation, which is exactly what price action is built on. Many beginners also think they need to predict where price is going next, but markets don't require prediction, they require observation. Price moves because one side becomes stronger or the other side fails. So trading becomes much simpler when the focus shifts from guessing the future to recognizing what is happening in the moment, which is actually a really strong point in trading psychology too. There's also the idea that every move in price is an opportunity, but most of the time, price movement is just noise. Good decision making actually comes from ignoring a lot of what the market is doing and acting only when conditions are clear. Being active is not the same as making progress. Another misconception is that being right is the goal. In reality, the goal is to manage risk when you're wrong. Losses are part of trading, but they become manageable when decisions are made with clear points where you know the trade no longer makes sense. And consistency comes from controlling losses, not avoiding them. Many traders assume that a good method should work the same way in all market conditions, but markets behave differently in trends, ranges, and transitions. That's why we have different principles for each market conditions. Using the same approach everywhere usually leads to confusion. So that's why understanding the type of market you're in comes before making any type of trade. And finally, beginners often believe that entries are the most important part of trading. Truth is, entries are just the final step in a longer decision process. Most of the quality of a trade is determined before the entry based on the context, location, and clarity. That's why, again, we have price action. Now that we've cleared some common misconceptions, it's normal to still have some questions. Most beginners do, and these questions usually come from trying to make sense of too much information at once. One of the first questions people ask is why indicators lag. And the simple reason is that indicators are calculated from past price data. So they can only update after the price has already moved, which means they react to the market instead of showing what's happening in real time. Another common question is why trading feels so confusing at the beginning. That confusion usually isn't a lack of intelligence or effort. It comes from being exposed to too many tools, opinions, and rules at the same time, Without a clear framework, everything feels important, and that creates noise instead of understanding. People also often wonder why simple methods look too basic to work. What usually looks basic is just clarity. Simple methods focus on the most important information and remove distractions. While complexity often feels safer, it usually hides uncertainty rather than improving results. Finally, many beginners ask why trades can fail even when the setup looks perfect. A setup can look good on its own, but trading doesn't happen in isolation. Context matters, and we've said this before. Where price is, what the market condition is, and what's happening around the setup often matter more than the pattern itself. The goal here isn't to memorize answers. It's to start seeing trading as a process of understanding and not guessing. From here on, everything we cover will build on this foundation. Thank you for watching.